vida falou pra mim, você não vai jogar nenhuma bola. E olha nisso que eu tô. Eu sou campeão mundial, irmão.
Charles Oliveira da Silva was born on October 17, 1990, in the outskirts of Guarulhos, Brazil, an area long plagued by poverty, violence, and crime. Gunshots and street fights were part of his everyday childhood. His family lived in extreme hardship. His parents survived by running small street stalls and taking odd jobs, and at times they even had to collect scrap just to make ends meet. As a young boy, Oliveira dreamed of becoming a professional soccer player. He wanted to follow in the footsteps of Ronaldo and shine on the field. However, at the age of 7, he was diagnosed with severe rheumatic fever and a heart murmur. Doctors once believed he might never be able to exercise normally again, and could even end up confined to a wheelchair. The diagnosis nearly shattered his dreams. During his long hospital stays, his parents cared for him day and night, while the family fell into the lowest point of their lives. After being discharged, he tried to return to soccer, but his weakened body held him back again and again. At the age of 12, through a neighbor's introduction, he discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because of his poor family background, the gym waived his training fees. With his limited savings, he bought a single set of training clothes and began practicing relentlessly. Since he owned only one outfit, teammates often mocked him for smelling of sweat, but he never let it bother him. Instead, he turned every bit of ridicule into motivation, training harder every day and competing constantly to gain experience. Before long, he won multiple titles in youth and amateur tournaments, laying a solid foundation for his future in mixed martial arts. In 2007, at just 18 years old, Oliveira began competing professionally in MMA. On the Brazilian circuit, he quickly made a name for himself, with his elite ground game, putting together a 12-fight winning streak in just 2 years. In 2009, he officially signed with the UFC. In his debut, he defeated Darren Elkins with a triangle choke, followed by a rear-naked choke victory over Efrain Escudero. His 2 straight wins put the spotlight on this jiu-jitsu prodigy from the slums. But real tests soon followed. He suffered losses to Jim Miller, Donald, Cowboy, Cerrone, and Cub Swanson, and critics labeled him as having a glass chin, weak mentality, and a tendency to quit under pressure. In 2017, he lost to Paul Felder by TKO after suffering an orbital fracture, triggering another wave of doubt. Many people began to question whether he was even suited for such a brutal sport. That defeat nearly pushed him into retirement. Afterward, Oliveira returned to Brazil and took a hard look at himself. He rebuilt his game from the ground up, systematically improving his striking, defense, and mental toughness. He stopped relying solely on jiu-jitsu and began evolving into a well-rounded fighter. Starting in 2018, he entered the peak of his transformation. He defeated Clay Guida, Nick Lentz, Jim Miller, Kevin Lee, and Tony Ferguson, among other top contenders. Step by step, he established himself as one of the most dominant submission specialists in UFC history, setting multiple records for finishes and submissions. On May 15, 2021, at UFC 262, Oliveira faced Iron Michael Chandler for the vacant lightweight championship. In the first round, he was badly hurt and nearly finished. But in the second round, he stormed back with sharp, fluid combinations and knocked Chandler out, capturing the world title. It was a legendary comeback, from a boy raised in the slums to a UFC world champion. After winning the belt, he went on to defend his title against Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, silencing all doubts with his performances. From a sickly child to a UFC champion, from being mocked and overlooked to being admired by millions, Oliveira spent 13 years proving that where you come from does not determine how far you can go. Failure does not define your life. Only faith and perseverance can change your destiny. Charles Oliveira is not just a world champion. He is a symbol of hope for countless people fighting their way up from the bottom. Through his life and career, he perfectly embodies one simple truth: my destiny is in my own hands.